Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K Now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Armand, your host for the next few hours, along with Merle. Oh, wait a second,
Thanks
Merle.
for
I'm
having
sorry.
me
You
this
were
morning.
you were potted down. Go ahead. Good
Oh,
morning.
oh, I'm sorry. Good morning. Thanks for having me. It should be fun. I am
No,
no Mike
thank
Phillips or
you.
Nick Craig, but fortunately we have the Andrew Zarian here. So
Yeah, and Andrew is here with us this morning.
I did my hair for you guys this morning. Do you see?
You have a built-in hairdresser, right?
I do, yeah.
To do all these stylings.
Makeups and stylings,
Yep.
yeah. The GFP network, we have a
Yes.
budget for hairstyles. Today
Our,
I'm going with the ninja bun.
our number is 919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is being brought to you by Adamus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals. And the broadcast is made possible by Telestream Wirecast software. And we thank them. Nick and Mike are out today, have things to do. Nick is doing some charity work, and Mike had to go out of town. But it's fine. Merle and Andrew jumped in, and I don't know what happened to Steve. He tried to come in, and he couldn't make it.
He was here. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I know. It's something on his end. He'll be back. It's fine. He'll be back. So, Andrew, I've got one question.
Yes,
So far, Windows 10.
Yes, sir.
So, tell us.
I love it. I think it's great. Windows 10 is installed. I use a Mac as my everyday computer. I have a 2011 MacBook Pro, but my secondary laptop is a Lenovo from 2012, 2013. So I installed Windows 10 on that. I've done some upgrades. I have 16 gigs of memory on there. I have a SSD on there. So it's an okay computer. It's not really fast. The CPU is a little slow, but I'll tell you, it's working great. I really like it. I've been using it as a casual user, and we have to think about that, right? Who's going to be using a computer most of the time? It's going to be casual users.
Correct.
It's not Merle. It's not Amnon. We're not installing, Wirecast and VidBlaster and vMix on these things. It's just people doing day-to-day operations. And if this operating system is going to be better than what they had previously, and I'm telling you, I'm 99% sure this is better than Windows 8. There is no reason why you should not upgrade. If you are on Windows 8, go ahead and do the upgrade. If you're on 8.1, go ahead and do the update, because there is no reason why you should not be upgrading to Windows 10.
Okay, did you notice any? Let me phrase it a little bit. If I would ask you, how did it screw up? What kind of screw ups did you have?
So I had a couple issues when I did the initial install because I didn't do it the traditional way with the upgrade. I tried to do a blow away clean copy of Windows 10, and it didn't really work well because the license that you were given when you do an install, for example, is the license that is associated to the prior Windows operating system on that hard drive. Well, how do you do that if you don't have Windows on your hard drive?
Right.
Right? So what are you going to do? You can't just install, get a copy of Windows 10 and cross your fingers. In some situations, you can actually. So let's say you have a newer hard drive, a newer laptop that has UEFI BIOS settings. The key to Windows, if you've noticed, if you buy a new computer, is no longer attached to that tower. There's no license on that tower anymore, or laptop behind the laptop. The license is hard coded in the BIOS. So if you're installing a clean version of Windows, it is possible that with no key, nothing, you'll get, you know, a brand new version of Windows 10. It'll do an upgrade process. It'll recognize your key in the BIOS. It's 50-50. If it works, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But most people aren't doing that. Most people are going to be just, you know, installing a copy of Windows
Right.
on top. But the question does lie, what do you do if you buy a new SSD? What happens? If I'm replacing my hard drive, how do I get Windows 10 on here? Well, you got to install the old version of Windows that you had, and then you got to install 10 on top of it. And if you really want to do a clean install, you got to go and do a clean install after you install Windows 10.
So you could not take the downloaded ISO Windows that you actually upgraded to and start it from scratch. Why? Because you don't have a key.
You can't. If you already have Windows, installed, you could do that. You could just download an ISO. You don't need to download the ISO. You could just do it with the upgrade path, and they'll say, "Do you want to do a clean install?" And
Oh,
you'll
okay.
say, yes, I
So-
want to do a clean install.
So I missed something. You were saying, what happened if I change hard drives?
Yeah. So if you don't have a hard drive, how do you do it? That's the issue here.
You're talking about upgrading from like 7 to 10
Well,
while changing the
got-
hard
you can't
drive.
install- Yeah. So what you cannot install the Windows 10 ISO without having a commercial license. You have to install a previous version of Windows and then install 10.
Okay.
But other than, but most people are not going to be doing that. Most people are just upgrading. 90%, I think the number is 75 million. 75 million people have upgraded to Windows. That's about 6% of the market already in a month has gone to Windows 10. I could guarantee that 90-something% of those are not licenses that were purchased. They were all upgrades.
Yeah, if they went ahead and gave it to everybody to upgrade, then everybody would upgrade. I mean, there's still a lot of people.
You know what? But there are still people that have not upgraded. They've given this copy to everybody. Everybody can upgrade, and there are
Yeah.
people that are afraid to upgrade. There are people on Windows 8 that are not upgrading, and I'm
Me.
suggesting that you do upgrade because this is a much better and far superior operating system than Windows 8.
But
It's just overall better. It makes way more sense. It's not convoluted. You never have to see the tile UI ever again. The start menu is exactly what it should be. Everything is where you know it's supposed to be. It's better than Windows 7, I'll tell you that. It's a better operating system. It's faster, it's smarter.
does anybody have the feeling that Andrew is trying to push me in that direction?
We got to get you off XP first, Amnon. But overall, guys, I mean, when we're talking about, upgrades, Windows users are not necessarily known to be ones that go and upgrade their operating system. It's a very small minority of people that actually do these. The only time that people upgrade operating systems on the Windows platform is when they're forced to. And when you're forced to? When your computer breaks and you have to go buy a new one. This is a very different angle that Microsoft is taking with this operating system, where they are telling you and forcing you in a way, listen, this is what you should be on. This is where we want to push you. We're giving this to you. Go ahead and upgrade, rather than making it a very difficult process for you to get a copy of Windows. No consumer goes out and buys a version of Windows when it comes out. It's a very small group of people that do that.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I know people on Windows Vista right now. They're still on Vista.
There are people that that are on Vista.
Oh yeah, I have relatives that are using. They have laptops. That's what they bought in 2005.
Yeah, but they could have upgraded to 7 for free.
No, they can't.
Vista could. I know that a lot of people that had Vista could.
Yeah, if you got Windows Vista at the end of its life, when 7 was already, coming out, that those are the people that could have upgraded. But most, I have, older relatives, they're still running older machines. I think this is going to start the path where, the days where Windows XP, 2 generations prior of the operating system still has a majority market share. Those days are going to be getting less and less. I think Windows 7 has 60 something percent of the market right now, or 55% of the market, something around that. I think the next 6 months we're going to really see a huge drop in those users, and you're going to see 10 just fly all the way up. With that said, guys, I have not updated my production machines to Windows 10.
What are you running on them right now?
I'm running Windows 7 on them
7.
for a couple of reasons. I have a couple of reasons why I'm not running it. One, the drivers that we use for audio, it works with Windows 10, but it is not officially supported with Windows 10. You had to do a whole, song and dance to get it to finally work for me. I had to go and install it as an admin from command prompt. It's a whole thing.
So let me ask you this. I mean, because I am running it in a virtual machine right now, and
Mhm.
I just to play with it, because like you said, there's reasons I haven't updated the current machine I'm on, because I got an M Audio Delta 1010 sound card that may or may not work with drivers, things like that. I've got another computer over here that's an older computer that I did upgrade. But my concern is there have been some, and again, you can't believe everything you read on the internet, but the spying aspect, or what Windows or what Microsoft is looking at. I mean, I posted something in the chat room. It says Windows
Yeah.
10 is spying almost everything you do. Now, I haven't put Wireshark on yet and looked at the packets and seen what's being sent, but have you heard anything, about that? I mean, is it just one of those things that it comes with the territory? A new operating system comes out, nobody really, you can't really read the end user license, right? Because they're thousands of pages long. So
So I agree with some of the things that have been written about it. In the privacy aspect, I think a lot of stuff is turned on by default, but we also have to look at what other operating systems are doing. Um, the Mac does almost exactly the same thing when it comes to this. It's just looking at how you're using the operating system and what you're doing. Android has been doing this. iOS has been doing this. Uh, every major operating system on the market is looking at your habits and just collecting that data to make your experience overall better. Do I get why people are concerned? Absolutely. But the great thing is that you could turn off a lot of these features. I'm not a fan of the fact that it runs Windows updates like a BitTorrent client in a way, where just peer to peer. I don't know why that's on by default. I would suggest everybody turn that off immediately. Do not use your bandwidth to share Windows updates with other users. It's fine to do it within your network, but I've turned all that off. I've turned a lot of the data collection off. A lot of the privacy settings I've changed. Those issues do exist, and I agree with them. What I believe they're going to do is get rid of some of them due to the complaints in Threshold Wave 2, which is the next version that's coming out in October. What we got right now in Windows, guys, is not the full version of Windows 10. We got a complete version, but it's not the final version of what they had envisioned. We're getting that in October. I think a lot of those concerns that people have about privacy, they're going to kind of address some of that. But I agree with you, Merle. I mean, there's no reason why some of these things should be on, but here's the beauty of it. We could turn it off.
Well, listen, I mean, Merle, you bring up a point, and you wouldn't even imagine that this is where the worry will be. Some smaller pirate sites have become concerned about Windows 10 system phoning home too many hints regarding that the users are accessing their site. Therefore, the pirate administrators have started blocking Windows 10 users from accessing the BitTorrent trackers that the sites host. The first one to hit the alarm button were ITS, which have posted a statement and started redirecting Windows 10 users to a YouTube video called Windows 10 is a tool to spy on everything you do. Additionally,
So-
according to Torrent Freak, two other similar dark web torrent trackers are also considering following suit. As we all know, Microsoft recently released Windows 10. As you, as a member, should know that we, as a site, are thinking about banning the OS from FSC, said one of the FSC staff. Likewise, in a message to the users, a BB admin said something similar. We have also found Windows 10 will be gathering information on users' P2P use to be shared with anti-piracy groups. So the pirate sites are worried about that.
I mean, it's like saying I'm worried that the police are finding out that I've been doing illegal activity for the last 20 years.
Well, I mean,
Don't go and pirate stuff, and don't be
no,
a
no,
pirate.
yeah, I mean, we're not advocating you do that, but if they're worried about that, then there must be something there.
I think it's a little. There may be something. I believe they are collecting some sort of data for better user experience, so they learn what people's habits are. But I don't think it's Big Brother spying on you with floating drones around your computer. But this is the age that we live in. Everything is connected. Everything that we do is tracked, guys. When you put in a URL in your browser, you don't think that's being cached somewhere? Do you don't think that's being saved somewhere on a server for your ISP? Everything you do, there is a backtrack of everything you do. We're on the internet. You're constantly connected. There is no way to get around it. I mean, I guess there are, but it's going to be very difficult for you to do that. It's going to be a pain in the butt to do that. So be smart what you're doing online. Be smart with your activities. Turn off as many settings as you possibly can, and just be smart.
I think the Hangout crashed.
No,
I can still hear you, but the video is gone.
Merle, you there?
Oh yeah, I'm here. I can still hear.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
do you see anything?
I see Amnon. I mean, I see. Yeah, I can see. I can see
Uh,
Andrew.
I only see you. It didn't switch to Andrew
Yeah, it
when
looks
he
like
was
I'm
when he was
frozen.
talking. I mean, it's still working because when I go in, it brings up the icons, but the video from you and Andrew is gone.
Well,
Let me see if I can refresh it. And maybe that will fix it.
I'm not nice of you to join.
Okay, yeah, now it's working.
All these apps that we download on our phones, something that people should start considering is what are we downloading on our phones and what are they accessing? People download apps, millions and millions of apps are being downloaded every single day on our phones, and half the time people don't even know what it actually does.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. One of the most popular apps is Find My Car app, right? Like, so when you park in a parking lot, you can set, where your car is, and it knows exactly where you park. So when you get out, you just look at your phone, you're able to kind of find your car based on where you parked. You don't think that's a little invasive? The fact that it knows you are not home, the fact that it knows where your car is, the fact that it knows that you are no longer with your car, it knows exactly where you are, what your habits are, where you're going. Uh,
Good
we
point.
don't know what they're doing with this data.
Yeah.
We don't know any of it. Most people are just installing applications. We don't know if there's anything happening on the back end, if it's taking any kind of images, if it's doing anything. You don't. It could be some Russian company, could be some Chinese company that developed this, and they're just using the information. So before we start looking at Microsoft as the big bad company, I think we should evaluate what we're downloading on our phones, because our phones have the most information out there. Our phones have more information about us than our computers do.
Yeah.
Now, the argument of Big Brother, I think we should be really considering what we're doing with our mobile devices before we start looking at our operating systems on our desktop.
I mean, it's not just Microsoft, but it's got to have something to do. Maybe these guys also thinking, well, other people are doing it, or Microsoft is doing it, so we're going to do it, or Microsoft is saying, well, these guys are getting. But I mean, you brought up a very good point there with the Find My Car. I never thought about those implications of, Find My Car. That means I don't know where it's at. And one thing for sure, I'm not home.
What it's doing is, right? And that's all it's doing. So it knows, but that application is probably running in the background. So it knows your daily driving habits. It knows where you're going. It knows what you're doing. And what else is it accessing?
Yeah.
We don't think about that because we like to point our finger to a company like Apple or Microsoft or Google and say, wow, look at these big bad companies. But those aren't the ones that you really should be worried about. You should be worried about the small no-name application that you're installing on your phone. It's scary when you think about how many things that we install on our mobile devices that we really have no idea about the company. We have no idea on what they're collecting.
Well,
But we install it because
I
it's
guess
fun.
when we start hearing from somebody that it happened to him or her, then we'll know. And let me say, Steve, good morning. We can't hear you. If you can hear us, we cannot hear you. Steve? Well, you just do whatever you have to do. It is until we hear from somebody that actually experienced that situation of getting spied on. These are all rumors. They're all assumptions. They are overblown. Call it whatever you want. We know that the sharing of bandwidth is not a rumor or overblown. I mean, they are doing it. So, yes, you do need to turn that off.
Yeah, I suggest turning that off. But overall, Amnon, to go back to your question, this is the best version of Windows they've ever made. It's a very modern, looking version of Windows, but it's still very familiar if you've been using Windows 7. It's just a very good piece of software. It works really well.
Okay, so let me put you on the spot here.
Yes.
Why aren't you updating your production machines?
Because the company that we use for IP audio drivers, they have not released their drivers. So if I have any kind of audio issues,
Okay.
that's my business.
Okay.
So, but if you don't have an issue like that, then go right ahead and install it.
Good morning, Brian Monroe.
Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today?
Everybody's fine. Hold on a second. So, Merle, this Andrew's reason for not upgrading is sort of like why you are not upgrading some of the machines, because of compatibility with drivers.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, the big thing, my issue is that M audio sound card that we use. And I'm, and right now, we were talking this morning, I'm not actively podcasting or broadcasting, but I still like, when I come back, when I'm finished pod fading, I want my machine to be there and working. So, I'm going to wait and see what happens. I know there are a couple of guys I think that are going to upgrade and try it and see if it works. And if it does work, then I probably will go. Cause I agree with Andrew from what I've seen so far. It runs fairly well. I'm a little disappointed with it on one of the machines that I'm running, but it's running on a old Pentium dual core CPU, 2.5 gigahertz. And I mean, it's pretty resource intensive on that thing, but it is an old computer, but it runs. I don't have any problem with it, but I for sure am going to get my mom's computer upgraded ASAP because she has so many problems. And I think this will just help her. It's a lot more stable. The automatic updates are fantastic for her, and hopefully it will reduce the amount of time that I'm spent, team viewing into her computer, fixing her issues. So we'll see.
Yeah.
More to come.
Yep. So, Brian, what's going on?
Yeah, I just want to chime in about the Windows 10 upgrade issues and everything else. It's kind of like what's going on there. So,
Wait. What? I mean, you cannot talk about Windows 10. You're an Apple user.
What are you talking about? I'm an IT consultant. I deal with
You
customers.
can't talk about Windows
different
10.
type.
You're a
Right.
Mac user.
That's not
like me.
That's not OS 10. That's
No.
Windows 10.
We can talk about Apple
Yeah,
stuff
go
later
ahead.
anyways. But basically, so far I've got a couple customers upgraded on it. It's been going cleanly, no problems and everything. And I'm going to agree 100% with the main gist of what's going on here. Andrew's right on it, and Merle's right on it 100%. It's going to be drivers issues, it's going to be bias issues and driver issues. It'll keep people from either being able to do an upgrade or having problems anyway. Anyways, so which would be
By
like
the way,
things like,
Amnon, Brian's a little low.
am I low?
Okay.
Can you pot him up a
I
little
mean,
bit?
he sounds here the same as you do, but I just upped it.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
better now. Am I
There you
good? Okay. Anyway,
Brian,
so
but
yeah,
here's the thing. As an IT consultant, right? Have
yeah,
you done the upgrade yourself on a machine
yes,
for somebody?
yes.
And what did you think of the process?
Exactly how it should go, which is you do the upgrade. I mean, it can take a while. The only thing I will see is, just like I've heard a few people have problems, even on Leo's show, and even myself, I've seen one of my clients' computers where they had a problem with some of their patches were not loaded on Windows 7, and so it was like you kind of have to fight a little bit to get it on there. But once it gets on there, it's going to be a nice, clean, stable base, which is good. So it kind of resets the clock zero on the patch levels, on the system. So it's good, basically. I mean, I'm going to say. And I'm trying to get as many of my customers upgraded on as possible that can run it, basically, because I don't want fragmentation of the operating system, so they can basically get the same experience as everyone else is getting. So
Yeah, I think Merle. I mean, to kind of put things into perspective and not to discourage people from trying this. Merle is using a piece of hardware that's about 14 years old. That
oh
M
my god,
Audio Delta 1010 is about 14 years old. I'm using a very specific driver for radio stations, and they don't need to upgrade yet because most stations are running older machines. They're not going to the latest and greatest. It does work. I have yet to find a driver that doesn't work.
good.
My issue is it doesn't. I can't guarantee that it's going to work 100% of the time, and I need 100% of the time to work.
Right. I mean, that's the point anyway. So there's two different environments where I see you talking about the standard end user environment, which totally should upgrade. There's no question. If you're talking about a situation where you're talking in a production environment where you're actually running specialized things that the vendor's going to be maybe slower or maybe never going to get an upgrade for, you're going to be out on your own and just deal with it, basically. And yeah, if you wanted to, Andrew, like you say, you could do it basically, and just going to live on the edge, and it'd probably be fine. I mean, it sounds like, anyways, it wouldn't really be that scary. I mean, the driver model didn't seem like a change from the way Vista changed things from XP, to the way things are now. It seems to be very much the same as 8 and 8.1, basically. So
I mean, it's not that clunky install like people remember Windows to be. If you've ever installed Windows prior to, even Windows 8 was a little clunky, and
mhm.
I remember installing Windows XP, and then it was like you were crossing your fingers and hoping for the best during that install process.
All right,
Yeah, that
that
doesn't
that's
exist anymore.
but that's always like that with a new operating system.
Not always. Not true.
You know what though, with Windows 10, it's not like, don't think of it as a traditional upgrade. Think of it as an app, your iPad being updated to the latest version, or
Yeah.
your Android phone being updated to the latest version.
Or your
It's
Mac
not-
OS system, being
Or
upgraded
your
to
Mac
the
OS
system
system
anyways.
being
Honestly,
updated.
Andrew, I mean, I'm not
It's
seriously.
considered more of a-
I have no idea about Mac OSs. That's what I was saying. You could,
Just bringing the point up. Basically, people talk about pain of upgrading and everything, and this is pretty much only as a Windows thing, because Microsoft done such a horrible job in the past, not now, in the past, to doing the upgrades that basically people haven't done it because they'll lose data, they'll try to do something, and the drivers will stop working, and really would stop working, and you couldn't even get your video card working or anything else, and it was really bad. But I'm going to say, really,
I think
hats off to Microsoft. I mean, this is coming from somebody who likes Apple stuff, who's wearing an Apple t-shirt right now, and loves what
I'll
they
give you an
do. But
example. I had wanted to go to Windows 7. This is about 3 years ago, and the machine was fast enough for Windows 7. It was perfectly fine for Windows 7, no problem. I start doing the install, and midway through the install, I was doing an upgrade, and it says Windows installer has stopped responding. And I had to hit back, and it reverted everything back, but it didn't revert everything back properly, and Windows got corrupted while I was upgrading. So those are the things that used to happen. Now this is a very different process. They handle it very different. Yeah, it is similar to the way that Apple handles updates, which they do a very good job at that. when
Yep.
you upgrade to the latest version of OS 10. But this is
or
overall
iOS.
very very happy with this. Very happy.
One way to look at it is a very severe service pack for Windows 8.1.
Exactly. That's exactly how to look at it. Look at it as a service pack update.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry
Good
I'm late.
morning, Steve.
What happened, Steve? Having issues?
Oh, it's stupid computer. I don't use this one very often. And to start with, it didn't recognize the network card, so I had to uninstall that. And it's an NVIDIA uninstaller, so you've got to sit there and drum your fingers while it's deciding if it's going to uninstall or not. And then when you do a restart, it takes about 8 minutes for it to shut down in order for it to restart. Then it restarts and finds the network card again and installs drivers for it, and it all works fine, except Chrome wouldn't work this morning. It was just as slow as a slug in salt. Just didn't want to know. So I've tried Opera, that didn't work either. I'm now in Internet Explorer.
Oh, speaking of that, Andrew, and
Yes.
anybody else in the thing, anyways, who's using Windows 10, have you guys? What do you think of the Edge browser? Just curious, because it feels more like Safari basically, with that kind of weird. You don't get a home button, and they've kind of rearranged a few things, anyways, compared to Internet Explorer.
It's not complete yet.
Yeah.
I said it earlier. The version of Windows 10 that they released a month ago is not the final version. There's still a lot of features that have been removed. There are a lot of features that have not been implemented. It's still a little bit buggy, for some people, but it's 99% there. The version that's going to be complete is in October with their major update. That's going to be the final version. I think a lot of the Edge issues that people are having are going to be fixed. I think it's pretty quick.
Awesome.
I haven't used it long enough to say, it's good or not. I know some people hate it, some people love it. So it's one of those things. It's better than IE. It's a step above IE.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, because I've had customers of mine who, with the later releases of IE, had to go to compatibility mode. There was all these problems to get to certain websites because they made a right turn and screwed stuff, basically. So you couldn't go to the standard websites, and it was really bad. But yeah, no, it's better, no question. So.
No, all right. That's good information.
And like I said, Amnon, if you're a home user, kind of like I said, I can't stress enough. Home users, absolutely. Corporate users need to take these things slow, because those kind of things you got to watch for. But even then, I think, I can't encourage people enough to just get with the upgrade.
Okay, you know what? Let me ask you. Define take it slow.
Well, what I'm talking is Andrew's situation, basically. If you have some specialized software, hardware, basically,
Right.
that just is a very, very niche vertical. And I definitely deal with customers like that, seriously. And they can have software that, if it breaks, their business cannot operate, basically, understand. And that's the kind of stuff you got to be like, okay, we're going to test this out, make sure it's okay, try one machine before you just say, oh, let's do all of them, And it turned out, your vendor, like the people doing the audio card driver or something like that, say, well, we don't know where this is at, right? Because we haven't put enough money into it because it's a small vendor. I deal with software vendors that are like two guys in a shop, basically sitting there writing out code, kind of thing, for doing landscape design, kind of thing, or whatever, And it's like, well, they're going to take a while to get upgraded. Not my customer, but the actual people that make the software, right? So that's where it is. The bandwidth is on some of the smaller vendors to push out certain things that just either don't have the budget for it, or just kind of being slow. They're waiting for Microsoft to actually release the OS, basically, to do their work. So, which happens.
I would go out on a limb and say that Microsoft chose a year to allow you to upgrade it for free for a reason. I don't think Microsoft expected everybody to jump right on it. And a lot of home users actually don't know how to do what Merle decided not to do, and what other people that know there will be a conflict with this driver and with that driver, they don't know. They just use the computer.
Actually, when you go do the update, there is a thing where it tests to see if you're going to have any conflicts.
And is it reliable?
Yes.
Yeah, mine was mine was exactly what I thought it would be.
Okay. All right. Yeah,
Well,
I remember.
on that test, did you do that?
Well, I mean, I remember in the early days of XP and Windows
Yeah, yeah,
98, I mean, it always there was a program that would run
yeah.
and
Well,
check. Yeah.
the problem, Amnon, is basically again, not to see that Microsoft's kind of turned a corner here, and I'm just going to really say this. This all comes down from their CEO, basically, as far as what he's doing, right, and getting rid of the Nokia division, that kind of stuff, and just sort of getting rid of the now the Windows 8/8.1 stuff. The Nitros are being pushed off to the corner now, which is good. And this upgrade, like I said, just definitely not like any other upgrade Microsoft's ever done. Seriously, not at all. So it's worth a look at, basically. I think so.
Well, I mean, sooner or later we're all going to be on it. There's no
Well,
doubt.
regarding the home users, like I say, they're going to get the other little pop-up box in the system tray, right? That give them marketing.
No, I
bits from
do away.
Microsoft.
I do away with those pop-ups.
You do, that's fine. But my point is, many users, the defaults are they're going to get there.
Yeah.
And they're going to click on that. They're going to click on it. They're going to be upgraded, and then there they go. They're not going to know anything different. So
If you don't want it, 305583.
Right.
Yeah,
good point. Excellent point.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's important. A lot of people see it and they don't want it. They don't need the clutter down there. So,
Well-
Steve, that's right. So, let's tell people you go to Windows Updates and you click on the lower left on Installed Updates. You let them all load, and then you look under the Windows Updates, not the Office, not anything, the Windows, and you find the one that's 5583, right?
KB305583.
Yeah.
Uninstall that, reboot your system, and then when you go to do a Windows update again, just hide that one,
Right.
and you won't get it annoying you in the taskbar.
It will find that update right away within minutes and tell you that there is an update. So go there and right click on it and say hide, so you'll never
I
get
like it there.
bothered. Yeah.
I like it just bothering me and nagging me.
Yes.
It's like my mother telling me to take out the trash when I was a kid.
Yeah, but that's because you're still quite young. I'm old and I can't stand these annoying things.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, for the people who really that's an OCD type thing and they get bothered by that, it's fine. I totally agree, to get rid of it. But honestly, like I said, if you can upgrade to Windows 10, and I hate to be like a cheerleader about this, but seriously, I mean, it's like, it does seem to be a really good thing to start with.
Look at you. Now you're a Microsoft front runner.
No, I am basically making the point that when it comes down to the Microsoft platform, people sitting there have these mentalities like, and rightfully so. I cannot stress it strongly enough.
Listen, I heard you're getting rid of all your Macs and going and buying Dells.
Yeah,
That's
actually,
true?
no.
That's what I heard.
I would recommend Dell at this point as the OEM right now. They seem to really have their stuff pretty well together in this, anyways. The other OEMs seem to be screwing up. Lenovo, I'm going to say, really is, recently been making a number of mistakes, anyways, and I don't like what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
HP, I don't know, can't really say anything about them at this point, but it just seems like, yeah, like I said, Dell seems to be going either Asus or Dell, basically, either way, basically. So, because Asus got a couple Ultrabook laptops that are really sweet, anyway. So,
I'm glad you didn't say
I saw
Lenovo.
this. I saw this beta news post, Merle, that you posted. In the chat, I'm looking at this article, and it is a bizarre article on why you should not upgrade. They're not really stating anything other than some software and hardware will not work.
Right.
oh,
That's
by
the
the way,
only valid reason. Everything else is a ridiculous reason why you should not upgrade.
Andrew, wasn't the issue about some of the privacy issues really an issue because of the OneDrive stuff that's in Windows 10 that people are basically getting now? And therefore, because of the fact that if you put stuff in OneDrive and it gets caught on Microsoft server, something that's illegal or something, whatever, Microsoft
Some of it was that.
scan
A
it.
lot of it
Basically.
is the other stuff that was automatically on by default. All the information that it's collecting.
Right.
Merle, you were going to answer Andrew.
No, I was just agreeing with him. Absolutely. I mean,
Oh.
you look at that article and it is ridiculous. That's why I said this is, for the most part, it's just, some guy's opinion that really it's moot. I mean, other than a couple, like Andrew said, a couple of things he said about the, hardware and drivers, but I would still, based on what I do for a living, and I'm going to do this. I'd like to put Wireshark on there. I want to capture some packets, see what it's throwing back. But I agree with Andrew. Probably for the most part, the things that is reporting is probably to help make the user experience just a little more enjoyable. I hope so.
Big
It's a-
Brother's watching.
It's only metadata, nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, not like they're going to correlate all the information on a specific file just for you. No, of course they wouldn't do that.
So, Brian,
Yes, sir.
what is it? What is this? I hear that the iPhone 6 Plus has a real bad camera.
Haven't heard anything about that yet. Anyways, nothing's new out, so we can't see until it actually happens. So,
Well, they were saying
oh,
that
6 Plus. I'm sorry, 6 Plus. I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah.
The recall.
Oh, you're talking
the
the-
recall.
I'm sorry. I think it's talking the S models coming out.
The sensor
Whatever.
problem.
Yeah, they did do a recall anyways on it, but I've not seen the problem myself on my model of my phone.
Not all of them. It's a very
Yeah.
small group.
Yeah, exactly. I think it, like anything, I think Apple finally is learning their lesson. Like they had the problems with the MacBooks where they had the graphics cards, MacBook Pros with some bad graphics cards in them, and like anything, you're going to make millions of things. I'm not apologizing for anybody. I'm saying, look, anything you manufacture millions, there are always going to be some defects, no matter how hard you try not to. So Windows systems I see installs don't go well just because. Not Microsoft's fault. It's just a hardware flake kind of thing that happens, and you just have to fight it to get to work right. I mean,
Well,
So-
I mean, in all, we have to be fair to them, but it's nice because a lot of people complained about it,
right?
and they did say that the phones manufactured between September and January of last year, between September 14 and January 2015,
Mhm.
could include failed camera component, but they are replacing them free.
Exactly.
They're not replacing the phones free. They are replacing the camera components free. So that means you're going to have to go to the Apple store and maybe they can install. I have no idea how.
Yeah, they could open the phone up in the store. That's the thing that's nice that Apple could do. Is you go to. I mean, again, I know I'm lucky. Jesus, so many Apple
Right.
stores here. That's not even funny. Walk in an Apple store, drop the phone off, probably a few hours, basically go to this food court, course me.
So
Get
they-
the and then come back
Or
and it'll
what
be fixed. It'll be fine.
what they also do is send you a loaner. You could do a loaner program where you could send it to them and they send you a loaner before you send them the phone.
Ah,
Oh, so you're
That's
going to
all.
have to send it in, for a fact.
You can if you don't have an Apple store by you.
right.
Oh yeah, that's true too. And I don't understand that either. So is the camera component in the iPhone a plug-in thing? It's not soldered on the board?
No, it's not soldered.
Interesting.
They're able to replace it.
Even if it was a board thing, I mean, they could swap the board out. I mean, same thing. It's just a matter of when they take it apart, whatever process it is. Just at the end of the day, if you get a device back that works, that's what you want, And most people, if people will hopefully only keep it for 2 years, or they even better yet go on the Sprint plan, where you got a new one every year. So,
So Brian, I got a question for you.
yeah,
This Apple event, how come it's not being held at the Moscone Center?
excellent question. So far, the speculations are a number of things. I mean, there could be something to do with the. Actually, we don't know at this point. I should say there's lots of speculations. I was seeing Chris Turner-Warren had an article earlier today, read about saying that might be something to do with music event kind of thing. They're trying to repump up music stuff as much as they can. Maybe something to do with the car play kind of stuff, anyways. But it's hard to say because it's definitely a big venue. But it wouldn't be normally. By the way, it would not normally be Moscone Center. It would be like Yerba Buena Center, or be at Apple's campus themselves, anyways. By the way, so that's not. They don't usually do the Moscone for the iPhone, the hardware launches kind of stuff, anyways.
It is interesting. I mean, this is going to be a big event on September 9th. I don't know if you had this in the notes, but Apple's holding their event, their annual iPhone event. So they're going to announce the new iPhones, and they're also going to finally debut the new Apple TV.
Oh yeah, for
They're
sure,
bringing-
100%.
What are they going to do with Apple TV?
The new Apple TV.
Oh,
You sure about that?
I don't know. They've been every year we say this about it, but I think this year we'll get it.
I agree with you. I think this year's. Seeing where the hardware's at, but definitely where the chips, CPUs, and everything that they have currently out, it would make sense this year to do that. So
There's so much competition out there in that type of market that they need to compete, don't they? If they're going to.
well, to a point. I mean, again, you have to remember, Apple fans pretty much are very loyal about stuff. And some of the stuff that you can only do in the Apple stuff, which is the AirPlay and some of the Apple content, You can only get it if you're on Apple TV. So, Ben users are like, they're just hanging and talking with because they've got Apple TV boxes for a number of years and they're happy with them. And they're not like pushing the edge of where they're at. They're just going on doing Netflix and that kind of stuff. And it's cool. But if they're doing some sort of, if they're doing any sort of streaming service they're going to do or anything else they want to do, App Store stuff, who knows? I mean, the App Store thing drives me nuts. The App Store has to happen. It's just ridiculous. You can't get apps for it. So,
Andrew, this is not you that signed under Zarian, right?
No, it's not.
no.
All right, I'll take care of it. All right, let's go to something else. I don't think we can sing Happy Birthday because it's copyrighted. But Windows 95 turns 20 tomorrow. I mean today.
Today's the birthday.
Yep. Well, actually, it was on
Beginning of
August.
the modern OS.
Users looking to upgrade from Windows 3.1 should be warned that some reviewers on the Amazon purchase page have been receiving 3.5-inch high-density floppy disk version instead of a modern 150K CD-ROMs. These were the days. I remember when we got Windows 95.
Let's talk about it, Amon. Tell me about the first time you installed it.
We installed it right away back then because it was so long under in the beta. Well, I don't know the beta, but it was available before. And it was such a big difference, big change from Windows 3.1 that, I mean, you had to go to it. I mean, these were the days when people were sitting outside the big stores for a day or two just so they can be first in line to get the OS. Back then we had a store, so we were selling it, so we had a bunch of them, but it was the main thing that I remember from it. I mean, it wasn't it was very nice. It
was a big change.
It was a big change. It was very nice. I'm sure there were things that didn't work right. But the one thing that I'll always remember from Windows 95 is the high quality video song. And I can't remember her name now. Good Times. The name of the song was Good Times. And we played it in a loop. It was suddenly, I mean, after using 3.1, and 3.1 you could use some things with audio and video over the internet. The quality was not good. I don't remember when what's the name of the site with the pirated music?
Pirate Bay?
No.
Napster?
Napster. I don't know. I don't remember when Napster came.
Later on, 98, 99, I believe.
Yeah. So there was nothing really to listen to on the computer that was really high quality. And this was unbelievable. That's the one thing that I really remember from it. Eddie Bickle. That's it. Brickle. Edie.
I mean, it was an interesting time. Windows 95 and Windows 98. It was a very interesting time because that was the beginning of introduction to computing for most people. Most people didn't have a computer prior to Windows 95, and Windows 95 made it friendly and made it less intimidating for a lot of people. Now, was it intimidating? Absolutely. Was there a learning curve? Absolutely. But this was the first time that users felt really comfortable with an operating system on a large scale.
The birth of the start button.
The start button, I remember my first Windows 95 machine, it was an IBM Aptiva. And I was blown away by it. It was mind blowing how good this operating system was. Prior to that, I was running Windows, 3.1, but it was just I couldn't believe it.
Yup.
I can't believe it's that long ago. It's that famous scene when you think of Windows 95, the people in the stores flooding the stores and grabbing the boxes.
Unbelievable.
And that really happened. It wasn't a PR stunt. That really happened. People ran to the stores to get it.
Yep.
They stood online.
They sit outside. They slept outside. It was ridiculous.
And nobody
But-
had used it. I mean, that was the best part. Nobody knew what it was. Do you remember what was on the desktop, Amnon? When you installed it clean? There were 6 things on the desktop. Who wants to guess what they were?
Well, computer and recycle must have been there.
Yes. Recycling bin in my computer.
Network neighborhood, maybe?
Internet
Network
Explorer.
neighborhood. Yep.
Internet Explorer.
No,
No.
this is prior.
Yep. AOL or MSN, maybe, or something like that?
The Microsoft network, which is
MSN then.
My briefcase and
Yeah.
Inbox. My briefcase was fascinating. That was actually a really interesting feature where you could put stuff no matter where you were in that briefcase, and you would be able to access those files if you were part of the work group.
Predecessor OneDrive, I guess the idea is, right?
Yeah, it was cloud computing early on.
Before the cloud computing, anyways.
I mean, I remember going from 3.1 and going to, the graphical interface of Windows 95, and it was, wow, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, we have muting. That's right. Merle, did you try to say something?
Nope.
Oh,
Merle, did you have Windows 95?
Actually, I was in the service back then, and I was actually running Windows 3.1.1 and then switched to NT because it had all the network-based stuff. So I ended up sooner or later switching, but yeah, I was running NT on a HP laptop for a long time.
I think
Okay,
I
so
still.
the official system requirements. You ready for this?
Yeah.
An Intel 80386 CPU, so you need a 386 of any speed, 4 megs of system RAM, and 50 to 55 meg hard drive. That was the initial system requirements. To achieve optimal performance, Microsoft recommended a 486 or compatible microprocessor with at least 8 megs of RAM. 8 megs of RAM. Now we're talking about 8 gigs, 8 megs. 20, what is it, 25 years ago. 20 years ago, sorry.
I still have Windows 95, the original package somewhere here. I can't see it.
I still got. I think
The
it's 14.
maximum, theoretically,
14.
the maximum, according to Microsoft, is 2 gigs. You cannot have more than 2 gigs of memory.
That was a lot back then. I mean, we were coming out of the 640, and if you had 384 upper memory, you were doing good.
Yeah, Andrew, I think I was also trying to be a rebel back in the day because I was also running, I think, OS 10 Warp. So
Oh my God.
Yeah, I gave that a try as well. It was a good operating system, actually.
it was an extremely good operating system. The marketing department just wasn't as good as Microsoft. So
Yep. Wow.
That was a very good operating system.
And here we are with Windows 10.
Which
I mean,
maybe
let's face it. I mean, Microsoft did. I mean, early on. I mean, I know we got our fanboys for Macs and our PC fanboys, but early on, Microsoft really, the reason they gained, I believe, the market share was their marketing department, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
they marketed the crap out of the Windows operating system, and it worked.
Well, actually, if you really want to go back to the history, it really comes down to DOS and Microsoft making the brilliant move, took up with IBM back in the day, and getting the business guys on board, and most buyers were business buyers. And so it really comes back to DOS being dominated, which then led into Windows being dominating, and then not being able to run alternative DOS underneath Microsoft Windows and those kind of things. And yeah, it was just led down that path anyway. So, which is why even Apple, even though they had what they had in the Macintosh in 1984, already lost at that point, because they were the buyers that were buying the computers weren't home users, they were business users, and so they were way ahead of the game as far as the home side. You know, probably the number of decades looks like, anyways. But that's why. So, I mean,
you know what's interesting? I'm looking at Windows 95 and Windows 98. Windows 98 was a Windows 7 to Windows 95.
Right.
It was a great operating system.
98 second edition, you should say, was really good.
Yeah,
actually.
SE,
Second
98
edition.
SE
SE, yeah.
great.
I had Windows 98 SE. I think it was something like 14 floppy disks to install it.
Mm-hmm.
It took forever.
Do you remember that stupid bar on the side? It was like
Oh, yeah.
channel guide and
The what
the
bar?
channel bar. They called it the channel bar.
Don't remember.
No, I
that.
don't.
There was when you initially installed Windows 98, there was something called the channel bar. And it was part of ActiveX. So it was like live tiles on your desktop, and you would have access to all these different sites.
So that's where they got the tiles thing from Windows
I'll tell
98.
you, you look at the core of this Amnon, it's still very similar. The core is still the same 20 years later.
Yeah, well, for compatibility.
Yeah. Still the same. We're still doing registry hacks. We're still trying to get it to work. I mean, it's unbelievable.
But I mean, look, how long did Windows 98 SE lasted? For many years. It was sort of like the XP.
Yeah, I mean, they extended support till 2006.
Windows 2000 was used by many businesses, but Windows 98.
And you know what? Many other people. I loved Windows 2000.
If I remember correctly, it required more resources than SE, than Windows 98, and it was
Windows 2000.
Yeah.
Did it?
I think so.
It did.
I don't remember. I remember something, but it was used mainly by businesses. And back then, I was servicing a lot of businesses, and you saw individuals with Windows 98 and businesses Windows 2000. I mean, there are some businesses today that are still using 2000.
You gotta remember. You remember the issue with Windows ME?
Oh, forget it. No, ME was like Windows 8.
Yeah, I had Windows ME, and it was such a disaster.
Yep.
I went to Windows 2000, but Windows ME, people forget it's the first version of Windows that has like the recovery mode. So if your operating system fails at start, you could go back to a version that worked. That was the first time they implemented that.
Well,
9 times out of 10 it didn't work. I actually bought Windows. I bought Windows ME. I actually went out to buy it.
I'm sorry.
I put it on. Yeah, I'm very sorry too. I put it on the computer, and I think I lasted about 20 minutes before I reinstalled.
Oh man, it was so bad. I went to Windows 2000 and never looked back. I ran Windows 2000 for a long time.
We did many
under the radar, as it were.
We did many a downgrade from ME to 98.
Yeah.
Because of these problems. Who's typing?
Sorry, that's me.
Well, take it easy.
Okay.
Jeez.
Sorry.
Don't break your computer. Oh, it's an Apple. They just work. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I got
See,
you
that's
there.
right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
Malware.
That's
yeah,
right.
Exactly.
No, but Emma, it is interesting that so many people. I remember a lot of my friends in school. They had gotten Windows ME, computers, and everybody's just started moving over to Windows 2000. We were running, essentially Windows NT.
Yeah.
It took a little while for the drivers to start working, but guess what? It worked really well when they did.
Yeah, once you got the thing figured out and tweaked, it worked fine. And that's why there are a lot of people, a lot of businesses today. I mean, I don't do it if you're still running it, but a lot of businesses today are still running on Windows 2000, on Windows NT. It is ridiculous.
The days, Amnon, I remember the days of summer vacation as a teenager, staying home up till 3 a.m. doing a Windows install.
Can
Those are the
anybody
days.
can anybody here in the chat actually imagine Andrew as a teenager? Just
No, this is what I always look like. That's how I hatched.
It's all part of the
I
Blue
just
World
hatched
Order,
out of an
right?
egg just like this.
All part of the Blue World Order, right?
Yes, the Blue World Order.
World domination, right?
There you go. Look.
yeah. Brian,
Yes, sir.
since we have you here, and I know I should kick you out of here anyway, but let me ask you something.
What's up?
How was your visit with Joe?
Oh, it's not over yet. We're actually having a great time. We're seeing
Where is he?
amazing- He's not here right now. He's actually over staying at an Airbnb place, anyways. But we're having a great time seeing a bunch of stuff. You're seeing all our posts on Instagram and Facebook and everything. And geez, so much food, so many things to see, anyways. And he's really being able to see what the Bay Area is all about. I'm going to tell you. I mean, him and Nicole are having a great time, and it's just
Good.
it's awesome. So, and so.
I mean, I asked him if he tried to murder him yet, and he said no.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I've been worried about you doing that to me, anyways. Honestly,
I met Brian.
and Spencer and Spencer was there as well.
Yes.
Just fun and Common Law and
Come along. Yes.
yeah, exactly. It was fun. It was cool, actually. I enjoyed meeting you guys, and it was just interesting to see. Like I say, we see people in person, and you get a chance to hear their voice actually in person.
How is Joe in person compared to
Oh, a lot more immature than I expected, but it's okay.
a lot more immature?
At times, other times he's very good. Like when he actually is on his element. Like he was actually yesterday. Went over to Guitar Center, and he's doing the DJing kind of stuff and everything. He's like right in that stuff. That's his world now, and it's great. But other times, if you're doing some shopping or something like that, or just he's getting a little bored, it's just he just sometimes gets a little restless and everything. But that's okay. I get it. He's good though. He's a good kid though. Seriously, they're good guys. Just anyways, So
And Nicole's nice too.
Oh, Nicole's awesome. I mean, she, they again, it's fun to see couple stuff and everything, But yeah, she's great. I'm gonna say anyways, and she puts up. I'm gonna say she puts up a lot with him anyways. Honestly, because when he gets bored and kind of restless, it's like it's like But it's still cool. It's still fun. She's really great. I'm gonna say anyway. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Good. Any of you saw the reviews of that Google OnHub router on the net?
Yes.
is it released yet? Anyways, have people actually have it in their hand yet?
I've seen some unboxings and things
Okay.
like that on Mashable and some other. I don't understand this. I mean, that thing is going to take so much room.
It's a piece of furniture. It's a pretty thing. That's how they're selling it.
I mean, it's the same as the Echo. It looks like the Echo.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you have, the Echo, it's okay to be like that because it sits somewhere in the room, somewhere else. It's not sitting next to you. The router, normally you want next to you so you can see if something goes wrong.
True.
And they were talking about that this may be the way of the future, the look of the future. So we're gonna start having hubs, switches that are cylindrical and routers that are cylindrical. I mean, you can stack these. Can you
No.
imagine how much room it's gonna take?
Well, you're not supposed to stack certain kinds of equipment. I've melted equipment doing that stuff, honestly. There's no airflow in some of this routing or switching
Hey,
equipment.
the
It's get hot.
WRT54G is meant to be stacked.
You try doing that, basically, you can melt those.
It's meant to be stacked though. It has the little
Yeah,
grooves.
because it's the stupid idiots basically at Linksys when they designed the thing, put that little thing so you could look at like you stack the thing. But I'm telling you, basically, if you aren't careful about the airflow in those things in some environments,
No, that absolutely no. I agree. I mean,
No,
I've got
this device. This device is intended for consumers, and consumers aren't stacking routers.
yes,
but it
And
takes
here's
it
the thing,
takes
this is the low end version of the OnHub. There's going to be a higher end version for $400.
really.
it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. They say it's simple but expensive.
Yeah, it's a TP Link. It's just a TP
Yeah.
Link router.
I mean, see, hold on, $400 for. I mean,
Asus and TP Link are going to be making the routers for Google. This is the TP Link version, which is $200. TP Link is a cheaper, router company.
Yeah.
Right.
Asus will be putting out the higher end one, which will be around $400.
That is absolutely ridiculous to buy a 400 router for your
but-
home.
$400. I mean, you can $200. You
Even
can
200, yeah, even $200 is too much.
No, Amnon. $200 is perfect anyway. It's a router, honestly. Now that's what they really should cost, not because of Apple doing it, but also because Asus is doing the same price in
Yeah.
Netgear. The
Yeah.
good quality 8C routers that are really good are around $200 basically. Okay, if you're buying lower end stuff, that's fine. Not everyone needs those better, ones. But I'm just saying $400 is a lot to ask, especially for something that's from Google.
I would never.
I mean, it's
I
like-
would never tell somebody to buy a $200 router for home. For
well-
home.
Well, I would, depending on the size of their home, anyways. What do you want to put the extenders in and everything else? Basically, be crazy about that kind of
Well,
stuff?
You're
Seriously.
still gonna have to put extenders.
No, you don't. No,
Nah.
you don't. No, you don't. Not in some of the homes I put into.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I'll tell you something. I've been to people's homes, and they need extenders.
I'm not. Again, I'm not saying every home. I'm saying my point is you first start out with a better router, basically, see how the coverage goes on those kind of things, and then if it works, great. If it doesn't anymore, basically, okay, then you get some extenders basically in there, and that's what you do. So,
I have them all over my house. I have routers set up everywhere because it doesn't
but
reach.
well, then again, that's because you have those with the one that comes from the ISP one, basically, right?
I had the Apple one and wouldn't reach my second floor.
Which Apple one? Which Apple router?
The whatever the last one was.
Yeah, the Airport Extreme,
Yeah.
not an Express. Because I see people
No.
putting Expresses in basically, and then they think $100 one's going to basically cover a whole entire home, and it doesn't. It's like single room or something like that. So
So I'm at Apple's website. I can't find apparel. Like where would how do I find the router?
the router is going to be just a sec. Let me double check. Good
They
question.
changed the entire thing. I can't find it.
I have the Ingenious brand, which was 3-4 years ago. It was the router to get for extra range because it uses more power. And
Oh, it's under accessories. Got it.
Except as Mac accessories, basically, yes, exactly. Under Macintosh accessories, yes.
and still I need to use extenders at the other side of the house. Now,
Yeah, I mean,
now, if you go according to the way you should use a router. A router should be placed in the center of the house. So it's the shortest distance, either this way or that way.
Mhm.
In that case, a lot of them will work right. But in many cases, that's not the situation. And you have a lot of walls to go through. And
correct.
I don't care how much power you have, unless you go and you use an amplifier like we used to do with CBs. It's not going to get to the other side of the house where the bedroom normally is, where the wife likes to sit there and look at Pinterest.
Exactly.
I mean, come on. So you get an extender. And I swear by the TP-Link brand of extenders. Cheap and work like a charm. And you can take one, they have a base and the remote unit. You can have 3 or 4 remotes on one base. So you can, and the remote costs like $20-some. And you can go and plug them in different places in the house if you need that. With the Ingenious, I only needed one at the other side of the house to receive it from the Ingenious and amplify it. there's nothing wrong with extenders. I mean, if they can't, and I understand what is going on here, and a lot of you that say, why can't they put more power, and you don't think about it. It is because if you have a lot of power on a router, on Wi-Fi, then you are interfering with your neighbors. I mean, you're
Well, it's
beginning to create a situation where the airwave is loaded. That's why they make them so they're low power. It's just like it was with the CBs back then. I mean, if you
And,
had,
hey, and if you have interference, it's not only going to affect your neighbor, it's going to affect you also.
sure, absolutely, because they will interfere with yours. So,
but the problem exactly is there's not enough not enough frequencies that have been opened up for the channels to be able to cover the average home. Basically, is the problem, and at the right frequencies is the problem. Because if you go to 2.4 gigahertz, it goes farther than 5 gigahertz.
yeah,
Then when the 2.4 band got so cluttered,
right.
we had to move the cordless phones up to the DECT 6.0 format. We had to basically, again, the Wi-Fi networks are more operating at 5 gigahertz nowadays. Again, so you can channel bond and get the faster speeds. If you get these gigabit internet connections now, well, you want to channel bond basically, so you can do wireless fast. And not only is going to happen at 5 gigahertz, which means you get shorter range and, so.
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, we're not looking here for reasons why it's screwing up. We're just understanding why the low power.
Well, you
And
know
with
what
the
I've
low
done, Mark?
power,
So-
you get one of those extenders or two of those extenders, and you're safe. I mean, if I buy a $40 Netgear and $50 TP-Link extender
Mhm.
kit, I'm still a whole lot cheaper than $200.
Yeah. So what I did in my house, I've set up routers with the same SSID.
Right.
So and they're hardwired in. So I have it in on every floor. I have, like, on my second floor, I have two routers. I have one in my bedroom and I have another one in the other bedroom.
So basically,
Uh,
access points. Basically, what you're setting up
Yeah,
access
so they
points
act
there.
as access points. I have one in my attic. I just set
Mhm.
it up in my attic, and I have a cap. I ran the cable through the wall going upstairs. Now that's a crazy way to do it. Most people want to do it wirelessly, and that's the problem. It's very difficult to set up wireless access points that actually work really well.
But the Netgear's got a really good one. I'm going to say anyways. That R7000, I believe. Anyways, they have it's a repeater. It works good anyways.
Yeah,
I mean, so
and the TP-Link works over Powerline.
that's even better.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
mean, well,
backhaul.
I don't know about better. No, I would say
No,
that
it is because understand, if you're talking about a single radio, it only could transmit or receive at one time. If it's going backhauling through the power line system, basically, then it can receive and transmit at the same time. It can actually you get better performance basically that way.
versus what happens when you're running an Ethernet.
Well,
cable
Ethernet
to
either
it.
way, or Ethernet. Basically, most people aren't running Ethernet. I mean, most people aren't crazy like me. Most people aren't as high end as Andrew or some of my clients, where they actually would run an Ethernet cable to a second location. They're gonna have to use what's there, which basically means either power line or wireless. So power line is a good way. TP-Link, I agree. That TP-Link thing's great. It's an awesome solution.
Well, the TP-Link works for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, the great thing about it is because when it receives a signal, it can immediately transit through the wire, and it's not actually, it's not bouncing off between receiving signal and transmitting. It can actually do both at the same time. So, well, it's sending one, it still can receive another one. Basically, is the idea. So that's kind of the thing, anyways, and vice versa, either way. So, if that makes sense. So,
Dirtbag says, "I'll start getting Wi-Fi sickness too."
Yeah.
yeah.
I was reading a story that some lady in where I can't remember where it was, Finland or the UK, is getting disability because of electromagnetic disability. Is that in the UK, Steve? Did you read that?
Not that I recall reading myself. I did read there was a mother of a child, and their school had ramped up the Wi-Fi there, and she's now trying to sue the school because it's affecting her little baby's health, apparently. So she says.
Wow.
It's all nonsense. I mean, I'm sorry. I hear these stories, and I'm like, I'm not saying they're But the problem at the end of the day is that these things really were that damaging in that sense. I mean, they wouldn't.
Well, it's just
they-
like cell phones, isn't it? They say that it can fry your brain and all this. Some people believe it, some people don't.
But people don't believe anything sometimes. They're just looking for an excuse for something that they can't explain. And especially for people who are not aware how the technology works at all, because these things, it's like nuclear radiation and everything else. People that don't understand like technology and how the world works, just the world's like a mystery to them, then they can blame all sorts of kind of like things that are good for us as far as technology wise, advancement in humankind or human existence or whatever, that because they don't understand it, it's dangerous, it's bad, we have to ban it. That's
This is
just
why we have tinfoil hats.
exactly.
That's why I wear
But-
mine.
But
I
this
put
is
my
this
hair
is
in a
all,
little bun and I wear my tinfoil hat when I go out. I don't want them knowing what I'm thinking.
yeah. So
We're probably going to cut the show shorter this morning, but Andrew, I want you to tell us a little again about GFQ.
I don't know. What can I say about GFQ?
Well,
It's
I
just
mean,
me
tell
and
us
some of
what-
my friends, and we do this thing called podcasts, and we do it live every single day, almost every other day at least. Where
Except
we
for
have
Fridays.
shows. We have everything from technology to hair loss to pro wrestling. We're adding a bunch of shows in the next couple of weeks. A lot of our shows that were on break are coming back. So also we redid the website. If you want to go check it out, it's gfqnetwork.com. We just redid the website again.
And talking about podcasting, you are doing something with live stream. Something
I
new.
am, yeah. We got a live, the Teradek Live View, and we have a commercial-free stream now. So we're paying for it. It's not cheap. It's about $3,000 for the year, but it was one of the cheaper ones, to be honest, out of all the ad-free solutions. But we're using a Teradek Live View now to encode just that feed. It's a very high-quality HD feed. So if your bandwidth challenged, I suggest going to another feed or the audio feed. But we're doing live view. I'm sorry, we're doing I keep calling it a live view. I don't know why. It's a video, the box that we're using.
Nice. Very nice.
What time do you normally do these shows, Andrew?
They're mostly early afternoons, but everything is archived on the website if you miss any of them. If you want to watch it live, it's normally they're around 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern.
All right. Okay. That makes it accessible for the UK as well then.
Yeah, and that's why we kind of did that. We used to do the shows later around 4 or 5 o'clock, and a lot of our UK audience couldn't watch live. So we moved it, and we're getting a lot more international viewers, a lot more Europeans that are able to watch. And, we're global. It's all globalized now. Everybody's watching from all around the world. It's not, hyper localized like most
Right.
radio shows. You could kind of have to find a sweet spot to let everybody watch and participate.
Yeah, I used to find that when I was on TalkShoe a lot. You very often, if you wanted to be part of something in America, it was 5 hours difference generally. It's like coming up for 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, and it's just too late.
What time is
Cool.
it there now, Steve?
The time here currently is 3:21 p.m.
Wow.
It's 10:21 here, and I got to go get my haircut.
7:20 a.m. 1 a.m. here, by the way, and I gotta go. So
I have a hair appointment. That's my hair's in a bun. I didn't do my hair.
In a bun.
Yeah, look at that.
I shaved all mine off this week. I got fed up with the beard getting a bit long, and I thought I'll just keep going. So I did my whole head. Gone. It's just stubble all over now. I look like a convict.
or a cult. You're in a cult.
Yeah, something like that.
So, Andrew,
Yes, sir.
you traveled lately.
I have, yeah.
Did you use the internet on the plane?
I did.
What kind of speed was it?
20 megs.
20 megabit?
Yeah,
You're kidding.
I swear to you, JetBlue. I was getting
that's
20.
pr-
I took
that's-
a screenshot. I was getting like 28 megs at one point.
That's pretty good because they're
It's
talking
crazy.
about that airlines first began offering several years ago, it was agonizingly slow and somewhat pricey as well. Unfortunately, it's only gotten more expensive over the years, and the speeds are still frustrating.
Yeah, JetBlue's not cheap. So JetBlue's about $9 an hour to use it, but they also offer a free service, which a free service is, the crappy standard, whatever you're getting with everybody. But their pay service, I've been using I always fly JetBlue because I really like their airline, but I always use the premium service. So I always pay about $40, $45 for the internet for the flight. And I have to tell you, it was always okay. It was always maybe a couple megabytes here and there. I was getting 20 to 28 download and 2 megs upload on this flight consistently. I was blown away. They did some major updates. Now they're calling it broadband speeds, but they did some major updates to it, and it's unbelievable the experience I was having. It didn't even feel like I was on a flight because you weren't. I was able to talk to you guys, and I was doing work. I was looking at videos on YouTube. It didn't even feel like I was flying for 4 or 5 hours.
Well, that's not what the article here is saying. It said that GoGo is the ones that provides it to them, and it's still. They say that a third of GoGo equipped planes can manage 10 megabits, while the rest top out at 3 megabits.
I don't think JetBlue's using GoGo.
I don't know. So they're saying that the company says that new satellite service should enable 70 megabits per plane by the end of the year. But they say who knows how much they will charge for it. They're saying that they did not upgrade it because there wasn't enough. The infrastructure wasn't there, and they couldn't justify the investment to do it up till now.
No, they. I'm looking at. They call it Fly-Fi.
Fly-Fi.
Fly-Fi. It's very good. I mean, it's actually stunning how upgraded it got from the last time that I used it. You get Amazon Prime streaming on there for free.
Wow.
It's very good. I mean, I was blown away actually. Okay, it's provided. It's JetBlue says the Ka-band satellite service.
Yeah.
Provided by Viasat's service is
Okay.
much faster than the competing Ku-band, which is what GoGo is using.
Okay. Yeah, so that's nice. JetBlue has faster. I mean, 20 megabits. Come on, you're fine with that. I mean,
Yeah,
if you're using 1 or 2,
Unbelievable.
I mean, for email, 1 or 2 is fine. But if you wanted to watch something or to,
Yeah, but it's the latency. So here's the thing: you also have to consider the latency, right? The latency will be slow, so it's still going to take you a while to connect. Like my latency was like 500, 500
Yeah.
milliseconds.
so
It's not great.
I mean, the latency doesn't matter if when you are downloading something and watching a movie or a video.
No, it's the initial connection.
Yeah. Or if you have something interactive.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's fine. But you're paying $45.
Yeah, you're paying $45 for the flight. I mean, if you're going to the West Coast, if you're flying down to Florida, then you're paying less.
Interesting. All right. Well, is there anything else that anybody wants to bring up?
No, time for me to go
Steve?
get my hair cut and go have lunch and have a beer.
No, I don't have anything. I'm not sorry. I didn't.
No,
come
it's
with,
fine.
with
It's
anything
okay. I
there this
mean,
week.
I've got a bunch of stuff to do. So, and guess what? Guess what, Andrew?
What?
I mean, tonight, the Tanya show.
Yeah.
Guess what?
What?
Guess what?
Guess what?
I'm going to do something different,
You're going to use Wirecast.
and I'm going to do HD.
Oh my goodness.
Uh-huh.
So
Wow.
we all have to tune into the Tanya Love Show.
Yeah, I mean, it was a way to do it in a simple way without too much setup, since it's just Skype, it's just capturing. and we'll see how it is. I did yesterday morning. I captured a show on or a video on YouTube and did it for an hour, and
I cannot wait.
it was fine. Yep.
I
The,
cannot
ex-
wait.
the experience will be well worthwhile, Amnon.
So what time is the Tanya Love show this evening?
8.
8 o'clock.
Yeah, 8 till 9.
On
And
Nissan Communications.
we played last night with. I mean, see, you guys are trying to push me in the direction of Wirecast.
Wirecast, yes.
Wirecast
Broadcast.
for a few of the shows here is not the way to go for me, because the shows are using PowerPoint presentations.
Yeah.
VidBlaster has a PowerPoint module. You load the presentation in it and you go. With Wirecast, I would have to capture the screen, run PowerPoint, and then have another one for the guest and all that. So it wasn't. So we looked at vMix, and vMix has all these. So I may end up just using vMix.
I've heard
And-
really good things about vMix, by the way.
Remix is
Yeah.
very good.
And
Seriously.
I'm not giving a penny more to VidBlaster, so
Totally agree.
vMix is going to be probably the way to go. But I can't wait to do it tonight and see. And even tonight, it's not going to be easy for me to do because of the way that Wirecast works. And you know
But
it.
Amnon, you will learn it. You will at least attempt to do it.
Well, but the thing is, again, here it is to send audio back through Skype from a video. You can't. So I'm going to end up playing the intro in Media Player while displaying a picture, because it's not a moving intro. It's just a
Yeah.
picture with. So it's a workaround, and it's just doesn't. I really think the vMix will work right, and then I can do what I want to do, but I need to get used to it. So we'll see how it goes tonight with Wirecast all the way and VidBlaster out of the picture. It's a step.
Excellent.
It's a step. Yeah, and Tim said, "What about XSplit?" I couldn't figure it out. Actually, I couldn't figure out Wirecast either.
XSplit is great. I have a
It's-
license for XSplit if you want it.
No, I mean, I remember paying for it for 2 years when it started. I'm sure it's no longer. But no, Nick actually did it fine with me. I mean, he let me do it, and he wouldn't tell me what to click. He said, "Just click and see. Just try it." And
Yeah.
and it gave me a lot of confidence. Okay, yeah. So now I know what it is. So we'll see. Anyway, okay.
Excellent.
So thanks, guys. It was fun.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
It was a lot of fun. Good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9. But you can always reach us at computers2know.com. And while you're at it, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and tune in tonight at 8 o'clock for the Tanya Love Show. Bye, everybody.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Health In with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Lessons of Vietnam with NCBVI members, The Tanya Love Show, Your Healthy Pet with Gisela DiCarlo. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by Atomus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals. CarolinaApparel.com and DeltaForce.net,